everybody. I have a very unique guest today. I'm a musician. I've been playing for 40 years-ish. And whenever I have the chance to talk to a creative person, especially in the music space, I'm excited. I'm lit up. I'm going to be like fanning all over this podcast episode. So if you're a musician, you need to listen up and be a part of this podcast and catch up with us, because a jam just might end up happening during this podcast. You just do not know what's going to happen. Dori Staehle is with us today, and I am super excited to have you here. Next Stage Drumming and .com, and Dori's here to share with us the power of music, the story behind the music, how we even got to this point where we're talking together. Everyone, please welcome Dori to the podcast. Hello, Dori. Can you bring us in?
Yes. Drum roll, please.
Go. See?
That'll
Okay.
wake you up.
All right. So if that didn't wake you up, I'm not sure where you are right now. Dori, it's nice to see you. How are you?
Thank you. Same here, David. All's well here in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. A little hot and humid, but we're still here and we're still rocking.
And you are surrounded by drums. I'm so inspired just looking at the scene behind you there. This is crazy because, like 20 plus years ago, did you have a drum in your home?
It's interesting because our son was actually the drummer.
Oh, okay, here we go.
I was the mom who turned into a booking agent / promoter / band manager who worked with lots of young bands and solo artists. And it's funny because what goes around comes around, I'm in what used to be his bedroom. Now he's grown and gone. He's married and he has 3 kids. Yes, I'm that old.
Wow.
His drum kit or drum set was in this room, in the same part of the room where my drum set now is. So he didn't expect that his mom would eventually move forward. It was on my bucket list. Why should the kids have all the fun?
Exactly.
I wanted to learn how to play drums.
Exactly. Right? Why?
That's right. You're never too old and it's never too late to rock what you got.
Okay. See? Okay, come on. I'm going to have so much fun here today. Okay. How did this start, please? Your son has the drum set.
Right.
You're fanning out as a mom, like, go. But you're like, wait a minute. I think I heard an interview say when you were in your church and there was a little checkbox saying, do you want to be part of the church band? And you said, okay, what the heck? Why not? Is that kind of how it all started?
Exactly. I literally was sitting, we weren't even members of the church yet, I don't think. We had been going for a while. And they really did have that in the church program. Would you like to audition for the band? And I checked, yes. And my husband and son said, you did what now? I said, I signed up to audition for the band on percussion. I figured, percussion is hand drums. You don't have to worry about cymbals and pedals and things like that. How hard can it be? And they said, but you don't know how to play. And I said, well, they don't know that. What's the worst they can say? Don't call us, we'll call you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was time. I was 47 years old at that point. It was like now or never. It's been on my bucket list. I've had rhythm in me ever since I was a kid. I was the kid who tapped on everything.
Yep.
Everything became drumsticks. And if I didn't have anything for my hands, I would tap with my feet. And my dad, who was a single parent of 3 girls living in a 2-family house, said, no drums, they're too loud, and girls don't play drums. But here's a guitar, and I'll give you dance lessons. So, I kind of made do with that, but I always wanted to give it a shot. Mm. And I did. I auditioned on a Thursday night, and the worship pastor said, great, see you on Sunday. And I said, this Sunday, like just a few days from now? Oh, my gosh. I thought either he's super nice or they're very desperate. I'm not sure which. I guess I did okay, though. I play by ear. And even if they gave me music at that point, I wouldn't have known how to read it because drumming notation is completely different than regular music. So they asked me, you need music? Nah, I don't need no stinking music. I just go with the flow. So I just jumped in and followed the musicians. Little did I know that nearly all of them had played professionally until I mentioned like right before we started. Oh, I thought I'm going to die. But I kept up enough, and added a little something, something to the mix. And okay, now we're doing bongos and congas. Now we're doing shakers and tambourine on the chorus. Got the hang of it well enough to pass the audition. Was I any good? Probably not, but I got much better because I played with them for 13 years and
Nice.
also did special events. So I guess if I were really awful, they wouldn't have stuck with me for that long. But, that's just proof, David, that it only takes one person to give you a chance.
Yes.
If that worship pastor didn't give me a shot, even though he didn't know I didn't know what I was doing, he knew, okay, your son's a drummer, your dad was a jazz musician, because I had told him that. My dad had passed away many years ago, but he remembered that. So he figures it's in the DNA.
Yeah.
So if he didn't give me a chance, though, I never would have discovered the healing power of drumming. Because just drumming in the first few practices, again, on conga drums and bongos, Sheila E. without the stilettos, that was me, moving and grooving. It made me feel both energized and relaxed at the same time. I thought, wow, this feels so good. I wonder if there's any science behind this. Well, first of all, I was tutoring and consulting at the time. That was business number one. And some of my tutoring students, because I specialized in kids with ADHD issues, although most of them were really gifted, but that's another story for another time. But they had told me, oh, Miss Dori, that's exactly how Ritalin and Adderall make you feel. And I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe we have a natural alternative. And that's where all the research and experimentation on my part started. I just Googled, is there such a thing as drum therapy? And sure enough, I found two international organizations that actually trained people. One was Drums and Disabilities, and I'm a certified drum therapist now through them. And the other one is an organization known as Health Rhythms. And they train mainly drum circle facilitators. A lot of those around, especially in North Carolina, but other California. I hear from people all over the U.S. I did try that out, and I did go for advanced training for at-risk youth, so that was helpful. But I'm not really into African drumming and drum circles. It's just not my vibe. As a rock chick who's been around rock bands all her life.
Yeah.
I really did find, groomed, and booked over 900 local young bands and solo artists back in the day.
Wow.
And, we did big concerts because I was the concert promoter, and they opened for national acts. Some got signed, some toured, some are still out there to this day. I've always been around rock music and, a little bit of jazz here and there. So the other vibe, the drum circle vibe, is great for people who do it. And I have a lot of friends who are really good at the African drumming style, but that's just not me. So you've got to find something that really fits you and how you're designed. And for me, rocking out on no matter what kind of drum I have works for me. And the benefits have really amplified a lot. I've been doing this for 9 years now, and I calculated that I've actually drummed with thousands of people. I have enough drums. I've got about 20 hand drums and extra percussion doodads, shakers, maracas, tambourines, those kind of things. And pre-COVID anyway, I used to bring those out. Way too much to disinfect these days. So I keep my groups and events small for that reason. I want everybody to feel what it feels like when you hit a drum.
Yeah.
That's a great release. And it has many, many health and wellness benefits for both mental and physical health.
Okay. So, and then on top of everything else, you have time to write books, multiple books, right? So I think we're talking today about Rise Up and Rock, but I think you have other books as well.
Right. Yeah. Writing a book was also on my bucket list. After my accident in 2011, and I'm sure we'll get to that at some point, I knew that I was going to use that really awful experience to help others. And I remember saying, I'm going to write a book about this one day. And people said, really? You're like severely injured. The accident triggered a rare disease. You're out of work. And so I did. So the first book was called Find Your Divine Rhythm, a Creative's Success Formula. I originally wrote it as a business blueprint for creatives, musicians, and entrepreneurs. Mainly because I knew that I was letting go of my entertainment company, Next Stage Entertainment, because, things had shifted in the economy and everything else. So I thought, what am I going to do with all this marketing and branding for musicians kind of info that's in my head? I have to get it out there. So I shared my story, lots of inspiration, but also lots of tips, because I got tired of hearing from people who were calling themselves a poor, starving artist, poor, starving musician. And I said, we got to shift that mindset. Because you really can make money doing what you love, as I have discovered. So I know firsthand that there really are multiple ways to create income, even if you're a musician. When I was younger, that's what my dad kept telling me: you'll never make any money. I thought, well, again, too bad he's not alive anymore, because I could tell him, well, guess what, Dad, I am.
Yeah. No, that's great. So before we jump into the other book, let's go back and let's hear about your story then. I don't want to miss
Sure.
that opportunity to kind of share what led all of this to kind of flourish for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny, because I share the story every time I even teach just a group hand drumming class, or I do an event. And I tell them the reason I'm sharing this, it's basically my testimony, is because it's the connecting piece. A lot of people want to know, how did you go from, playing percussion in a church band to next stage drumming, using drumming for health and wellness? How is that even connected? And I said, I never would have thought about it if I didn't get run over by a speeding bicyclist in a crowd of 200 people. And as a day job, I was in sales and marketing. We were standing outside on a June day, a beautiful North Carolina summer day, having refreshments. It was a client event for clients and their families, with a lot of workshops, and we were on a break. It was very clear that there was a crowd of people standing around having snacks. What this kid thought he was doing when he flew through the crowd on a bicycle, yes, folks, a 10-speed, not a Harley, not a forklift, but a 10-speed can do significant damage to a person's body if they're standing there and they have zero body fat.
Oh, no. My goodness.
Yeah, I got run over and he sent me flying. And I always joke, how far can a skinny chick fly? Pretty far, apparently. There we go.
Oh, wow.
I just could not believe it. Was such a hard hit. It was like a football tackle, except I don't have any padding. I think I was all of 111 pounds at the time. And I really didn't know that he had caused severe damage at all. I didn't know I was in shock. I didn't know that it caused a concussion, even though my head never hit the ground. How do you get a concussion if your head doesn't hit the ground? People don't want to gross you out, but if you get rattled, your brain is going, rattling around inside your skull, and that can cause a concussion. I didn't realize that I had done major damage to my back, because on the way down, I tried to prevent the fall. So I twisted and I felt pop, pop, pop. I thought, well, that's not going to be good. Let's see what happens. But again, when you're in shock, I was just trying to make a joke, because, it was awkward. These people saw me go down. Good thing I didn't have a dress on that day.
Jeez.
They would have gotten a whole different view. Anyway, I just wanted them to know everything's fine, because as most of us musicians know, the musician's credo is fake it till you make it, baby.
There you go.
And I was just faking it big time. I did the football goalpost sign, when there's a touchdown, you put your hands up, we're good. Everybody go back in the building, back to the workshop, smile and nod, Dori, smile and nod, suck it up. And I kept thinking to myself, and I could feel that parts of my body were swelling up. My knee, my back, and my ankle hurt, my shoulder hurt, my hip was jacked up, but I thought, it shouldn't be any big deal. I couldn't go for x-rays, because even though we had, medical on staff and all that, and they just said, no, we're not going to send you because we're all backed up, blah, blah, blah. 2 weeks later, I got x-rays, but they took them on the wrong body parts. But as it turns out, fast forward, I quit the job after 3 months because I physically couldn't do it. I was finding it difficult to sleep, to move, to walk, to even go upstairs. Everything was painful. I wasn't myself, and I thought, I don't want to be making any mistakes on the computer, because, you're dealing with, financial things and,
Yeah.
people's information. And I thought, I didn't feel like the same happy person. I was just so tired and in so much pain. I just said, you know what? I think I'm just going to sign out. Here's my 2-month notice. And they said, no, you can leave anytime. I thought I would go home. Everything would be fine. And I would be healed in 2 weeks. I just needed some rest is what I thought. Well, I didn't realize that the reason for the shooting pain, as an MRI revealed, was that it triggered a rare neurological degenerative disorder called Tarlov cyst disease. That would explain the extreme tailbone pain. I had cysts all over my spine. So when I looked it up online, don't look your symptoms up online, people, because it'll freak you out. I discovered that, this was pretty serious and there really is no cure. Only 2 physicians in the US are even familiar with the disorder. You could have surgery for $80,000 at that point, but the cysts will probably grow back. And that's when I started losing hope because I wasn't even able to walk normally. I was all taped up all the time, faking it through networking meetings and things. And that's when things get really, really dark and you're really wondering, why am I here? I'm not bringing in any income. I'm not helping anybody. I'm just sucking up air. That's when I finally decided to reach up instead of give up. And I asked God for a solution. So as a person of faith, I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner, but I was trying to figure out everything myself and try to fix everything myself because as a type A personality who has helped lots of people, especially with coaching and in other endeavors, I like to fix things.
Yeah.
So God just told me, just use the drums because I asked, give me a way to heal myself and heal others because I can't go on this way. I really, I'm going to keep it real here in case anybody's at that point. It got really dark, David. I've never been in that frame of mind before. I've certainly worked with enough creatives to help them, come back to life and make them realize that they have something to offer. Please don't give up.
Yeah.
Well, I almost gave up.
Wow.
And that's when God said, nope. I got another plan. Use the drums. I thought, on me. I didn't even think of that. The plumber always has a leaky faucet, right?
Exactly.
So I had been using drumming with others, seeing results, sometimes instantly, but believe it or not, I kind of discounted it because I thought, that's interesting. Oh, you came in here with shoulder pain and it's gone? You came in here with back pain and it's gone? Must be the sound waves. Because there really is science behind this. It's a combination of the sound waves, the hand motions, what I say when I drum. And now I know I got a little extra something because God not only gave me the instructions of what exactly to do, I was healed in only 2 weeks of drumming by myself in my home office for only 15 minutes to a half an hour a day. Boom, everything was gone. I canceled the 3 surgeries because if everything was gone, I had no pain in those 7 different body parts. And I felt very clear. I felt hope. I felt joy. And I felt like I'm ready to rise up and rock, which is where the second book came in much later. But I figured I have to honor this. This is now my divine assignment, number 1, to help people heal using drumming, even though I got a lot of pushback. There were a lot of naysayers. People laughed. People made jokes. People called me all kinds of names. But I said, once you know why you're here and what your assignment is, you are unstoppable. Once you know your identity, and I asked God, how do you see me? And it's, you are an inspiring healer.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I can't use the word healer. People will freak out. So I kind of gradually eased into it. And what happened was I did have other spiritual gifts when I was younger, but I kind of wished them away because they freaked me out. Why do I know things about people if I can't help them? I can pray for them, but, I need something else. And then I realized as I was drumming, okay, I'll take all of those gifts back now too.
Yeah.
So now we have Dori 2.0. So when I drum with people, even if it's virtually, my results are much, much better and much faster than they ever were before. So I figured, well, I don't care what people think. They can call me crazy if they want. But when I go out, even if people just feel less stress and more joy, then I've done my job. And I tell people I cannot guarantee miraculous healing. What happened to me is very, very unusual. Nothing like that has been documented in any of the drum therapy or therapeutic drumming studies. Nothing even close. So, I can't guarantee it, but I can guarantee that you will feel less stress and you will have fun. Those two are a given. Anything else is a bonus.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah. So that's how that started. And then, during COVID, I started working with people virtually. Again, the Holy Spirit, I said, what am I going to do? My business is going to dry up if I can't work with people one-on-one, live and in person, or do group events and classes. Everything's shut down.
Yeah.
And that's when God said, go virtual. I went, what? How is this going to work? How are they going to feel my sound waves? They'll be able to feel their drum. I included a beautiful djembe drum in my private drum therapy packages. And now I've got a coaching and drum therapy package. They'll get a drum then too if they're in the U.S. I can't ship outside of the U.S. I didn't know how it would work, and it did. And it was amazing. For example, a nonverbal autistic 6-year-old who after 3 sessions is suddenly saying words. It's like, what? We didn't expect that. Our goals were, better eye, communication, connection with people, because they don't always, look at people and things, and coordination. I wanted to boost that. Emotional regulation. Those were our goals. I always ask clients, or even an event, organizer, what are the goals? So I know how to design a program around that. And when I found out from the mom that, oh yeah, by the way, he's been saying words, she didn't see the connection. I said, we opened up the neural pathways, and that opened up communication.
The power of music, right? The power of music.
Yeah. So a lot of people say, oh yeah, listening to music is very healing. I said, no, you don't understand. This is very different when you're actually participating in music and drumming with me. It's a whole different ballgame. Yes, we always close out with a rockin' tune, and I take requests and I teach them how to play. I'll give them an easy way to play their favorite song. I've even played Metallica on a djembe. One teen asked for it. It's like, do you know Enter Sandman? I go, oh yeah, actually I do. Hang on.
So from a church worship team to Enter Sandman, that's a leap. There you go.
I tell them I know way more than Christian tunes. I can do all kinds of stuff from Santana to any kind of rock. And a lot of the kids, they want to Imagine Dragons or something, that's kind of poppy. Whatever. But I can close out with a rockin' tune. But I tell people it's not a drum lesson.
Yes.
It's not a drum circle. It's not African drumming. And it's a different form of music therapy, although music therapy is a much more involved field with a degree program and certification and all that. But this is interactive, totally. And it really produces good results. And then I also started doing something known as drum healing for those who are open to it. And that's just me drumming for you. And that's a whole different vibe. And that works pretty well too. But the interactive thing, they have a health and wellness tool because now they have a djembe in their house. There's no excuses. And I tell them it's just like going to the gym. You can't sign up and then only show up once every 3 months and expect results. You've got to incorporate this into your weekly health and wellness regimen. So it's a great add-on to other programs that people might be doing. I tell people it's not really a replacement for counseling or anything like that. No. Although I do have some training as a Stevens minister, but I don't hit anybody over the head with the Bible. I share my story and I share hope and I encourage them a lot. And I see them making improvements, whether it's a stressed out entrepreneur who has instant clarity or people who have they've broken some chains and now they can see possibilities and they don't feel anxious or depressed anymore, or complete mindset shifts where entrepreneurs who now realize that they could do something way bigger with their business or their career. So it's been very rewarding. It's just a completely different lane that I basically created my own lane. And my mission is to use my talents to bless others.
So, Dori, can we take a side step for a second? Parents that have children that are addicted to their smartphones and gaming and everything, and it's very passive.
Yes.
What would you say to parents or even students that are listening and to encourage them to consider music in their life as an outlet, as a way to grow and develop that side of the brain that all these other things don't address.
Exactly. And that's a great segue, David. Thank you. Drumming is a full body and brain experience. They've actually done experiments with professional drummers like Mickey Hart, and they put electrodes on their brains to see what parts of the brain are firing when they're drumming. Well, guess what? All of them. And they also discovered that drummers' brains are different. So there go all the dumb drummer jokes. I've heard my share of them. For example, what did the drummer get on his IQ test? Drool.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
Yeah, they just assume that we don't have a brain in our heads. And then when they see the MBA after my name, it's like, hey, there you go, drum check, MBA, deal with it. But anyway, they found out that our brains are different because the left and right hemispheres are synced together better, and the space between the hemispheres is actually thicker. And that's because the more you drum, the better you feel, and you are really opening up, again, those neural pathways. So the left side, I used to do a lot of tutoring with kids who were predominantly right-brained because I tested their brain dominance. The left side of the brain in many cases was sleeping. That's where language and math are. So a lot of these kids came to me for, language arts or math tutoring or SAT prep or whatever. And I realized that when I invited them to drum with me for just a few minutes, it greatly boosted their results. How much, you might be wondering? Well, take, for example, SAT math problems that some of these kids were doing. They were only getting a 40% accuracy rate because they were so stressed out. After just 5 or 10 minutes of drumming with me, again, we're drumming together. I gave them a drum. They're sitting across from me, doing special hand motions for brain integration. And what happened was their accuracy rate jumped from 40% to a 100% accuracy rate on the exact same math problems. So, parents, it might not seem like it has anything to do with boosting, academic performance or cognitive abilities or reducing ADHD issues, because I am an ADHD specialist, but I can tell you that it really does help. Not only that, a lot of today's kids, thanks to COVID, are feeling extremely anxious and stressed out, and some are feeling very isolated. Some of them have shared with me virtually, even through the screen. I always ask, hey, dude, how you doing today? And some have confided, Miss Dori, I'm not doing well. The kids are not all right. So they might be, disappearing into their screens and checking out and, just ignoring the world. But drumming, it really connects them with their heartbeat.
Yeah.
It's a very grounding experience, and it's really a great form of mindfulness training. I don't tell the kids that, though. You don't want to get too technical. I just tell them, let's take some deep breaths, and we're released. Tell me how you're feeling today on your drum. What would your drum beat sound like?
Interesting.
That pretty much tells me where they're coming from. If they're hitting that thing for all it's worth, a little angry today, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's try something different then. Or, they might be like very, very tired or sad. This is a very tired and sad beat, just kind of go. Or they might be scattered. Boy, that's a real ADHD beat for you. ADHD in my book stands for definitely hyper drummer, by the way. ADD is a delightful dreamer, and I'm both. There we go. It really is a great way for them to express their emotions safely, where it's okay. And sometimes I'll even encourage them if they're just like tap, tap, tap. And even some of the women, I'll get them to what I call the warrior woman beat in no time. Because I'll say, really? Is that all you got? Tap, tap, tap. Hit that thing. You know you want to. And when they do, it's like, oh, this feels so good. This is a great release. It's like I told you, you can't hurt my drums. You might hurt your hands. But, the types of drums I use, they're synthetic bass with a goat skin head. They're very durable.
Yeah.
And they're virtually indestructible. So it works really well and better than most people realize. Plus, it's fun. Plus, like I say, they get to rock out with me at the end. That's the carrot that I dangle. Stick with me, kid. We'll drum at the end.
I love it.
Trust me, it's not a hippie thing.
So, Dori, before we drum out here at the end, again, let's send everybody to the website. So, nextstagedrumming.com. Dori, your book, again, you have 2 books, but we're talking about Rise Up and Rock.
Rise Up and Rock was the second one, activating your God-given purpose. And that was to help people, just kind of hone in on what their gifts are, why they're here, and what they're supposed to do with them, like right now.
And I love that you've taken us from the darkness of some really rough days in the past to a joyful laugh and smile and a countenance that radiates positivity and encouragement, and you're devoting your life into helping people. It's amazing. And what a great story, Dori. Well, and I know you're just starting. You're just starting.
Thank you. I know. It's just finally starting to catch on, where I don't get all kinds of crazy comments anymore. But if I could leave your listeners with this, I know a lot of people have gone through some really tough things, and maybe they wanted to start something or write that book or whatever. So my message to you is just do it, because if not now, when? Yeah. Someday is not a day on the calendar. Make your mess your message, because people out there need to hear what you went through and where you are now, because you can encourage more people than you ever thought possible.
Dori from nextstagedrumming.com. An amazing way to build confidence, overcome, connect the left and right brain. There's so many levels of how you're helping people, Dori. But we can't just end the podcast silently and just end it like every other podcast, not when we have Dori here in the house. So what do you got for me? Let's do this to end off. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for doing this, by the way.
Oh, sure thing. My pleasure, David. Yeah, we got to close out with some good vibration.
Let's go. Right? Let's go. Go. Okay.
To beat at the
Beautiful. This is the coolest podcast episode in the entire world.
I was waiting for you to jump in with something, man.
Oh, gosh. No, I just wanted to soak that in, Dori. I just wanted to soak it in. Thank you so much, Dori.
Sure thing. Thanks again.
I want to talk to you again in the future, please.
For sure. Sure. Yeah, this was a blast. God bless you, David. Awesome. God bless the listeners. And, all the best. If you need anything, just reach out. Dori at nextstagedrumming.com.
Awesome.
Can drumming be used for health and wellness? You bet. Hi, I'm Dori Staehle, aka Dori the Drum Chick. I'm a speaker, author, mentor, ADHD specialist, and the owner of Next Stage Drumming. I'm also the only certified drum therapist in the state of North Carolina. I've created customized, science-based programs to help kids and adults focus, feel better, and find their joy so they can rise up and rock the next stage of their life. Drumming can help you literally beat anxiety, stress, and ADHD issues and gain clarity and confidence so you can break free from what's holding you back. It's hands-on and interactive and can be done virtually or in person. It's not a drum lesson, but something completely different. I discovered the benefits of drumming 16 years ago when I auditioned for a church band. I passed the audition despite the fact that I had never played before. I've just always had rhythm in me. When I played bongos and congas, I felt stress melt away and I felt more focused. It was then that I began using it with students and later entrepreneurs. It worked really fast. After an accident in 2011, I discovered firsthand that therapeutic drumming is a very powerful tool. Thanks to drumming and divine intervention, I was healed in 2 weeks. This became both a business and a ministry. My mission is to share the joy and healing power of drumming with as many people as I can. A drum class or event is a great way for your group, company, or family to beat stress and have some fun. I bring the drums for in-person events, and we always close out with a rockin' tune that fits the age group or the event. A motivational talk can be added as well. Life's short, might as well rock.
Mindshift Power Podcast, the podcast for teenagers and those who work with them. There's a huge problem in America today. There's a very large disconnect between teenagers and the adults who work with them. I'm looking to bridge that gap with real, raw, honest conversation, not held back by the chains of political correctness. You cannot solve a problem you do not understand. Want to understand teenagers today? Listen to this podcast. This podcast is for teens in the U.S. and Canada. To learn more, go to fatimabay.com/podcast or just look for Mindshift Power Podcast on any listening platform. I look forward to you being a faithful listener.